achieving my goals. Hey, no, I'm on the roll, riding so high, achieving my goals.
People coming in. Welcome, everyone.
In my mind, in my head, this is where we all came from. The dreams we
Here we got
have,
over
the
1,000
love
people
we
signed up.
share.
So
This
let's give it a second for the room to fill in. Thank you for spending the time with us today. We're super excited to have you.
This is where we all came from. The dreams we have, the love we share. This is what we're waiting for.
Who's breaking Madonna way before Nirvana? That was U2 and Blondie. The music still on MTV. Her two kids in high school, they tell her that she's uncool, but she's still preoccupied with 1985.
1985.
All right. What's going on, everybody? Hope everyone's doing great. We're super excited. We got a jam-packed session today with my friend Senraj and Wright over at Koncert. These guys have done over 20 million plus sales calls. I was in a meeting at an event and I was talking to Senraj and he's like, yeah, we've looked at over 20 million sales calls. And I like paused for a second. It was like a Thursday afternoon and I'm like, what'd you say? I was like eating a sandwich, a vegan sandwich. And I like spit out the bread and I'm like, Senraj, what do you mean 20 million? Like, you mean 20, 200, 20,000? He's like, yeah, we've looked at over 20 million sales calls. I was like, okay, what the hell did you learn? Like, give me all the secrets, give me all the strategies. And then after he gave me it and I had like 5 notebook things of notes that I wanted to share with my team, I'm like, we got to get you on the webinar with all of our audience and everyone here to literally have you tell them what's going on, what's working, what's not working, all the secrets. So that's what today's session is about. And for those of you that joined, yeah, would love to hear in the chat. Right, Senraj, I'm calling in from Columbus, Ohio, where we're headquartered. Where are you guys dialing in from? And would love to see it from the audience as well.
Yeah, I am dialing in from, not dialing in on a Zoom webinar from Salem, New Hampshire.
And I'm
Nice.
here in Austin, Texas, actually.
Okay, I've heard great things about both places.
Oh.
And it looks like the audience. So we've got people coming in from Texas, Chicago, Bill from Philadelphia, Lee from Stevens Point, Wisconsin, Dwayne from Kentucky. We got a lot of Lexington, Kentucky's awesome. Bob, Minneapolis CEO, love that. Manish, the delivery manager, India. VP of sales, Shane from Columbus, go Buckeyes. Ian from Richmond. It looks like we got people all over the place. And it's awesome to see everyone from all over the world. Aditya from India, Dallas, Texas. Frank, awesome to see everyone. And by the way, we want to make this session as interactive as possible. So when you've got chat and conversations and notes that you want to share with everyone, put that in the chat. And then if you've got a specific question, don't put your question in the chat. Put your question in the Q&A box. So in the Zoom, you'll see a little Q&A thing. When you put the questions in, we're able to vote on those and we're able to see what are your most important questions. And then at the end of this session, we're going to be diving in and answering Q&A live. And I just saw a question. Yes, this will be recorded. Will it be recorded? And I also saw a question like, why do we do these things? So one of the biggest reasons we host these webinars to give you new strategies and playbooks and tactics and scripts to help you grow your business is because we want you to win our famous President's Club Awards. All of our users, we've got over 1 million users and sales teams on Seamless. Our goal is for you to make 100,000, 1 million, 10 million, $100 million in sales, the revenue that you need to take your business to the next level. And when you do, we ship you these custom President's Club Awards. They're a few $100s each, and we've already got tens of thousands of winners. So that's what we do and why we do these webinars, to give you the tools, the strategies, and the training to take your business to the next level and grow. But without further ado, Senraj, Wright from Koncert, you guys are the cold calling gurus. What's working? What's not? Like, Tell us a little bit about what you're seeing with the highest performing sales teams and go-to-market teams.
Oh man, at least from what I've seen, and thank you again for inviting us and let us be a part of this too. This is going to be pretty fun to just talk about, yeah, like what we've seen, and what the biggest thing I think that we've seen, at least in the past like couple of years, just from the data that we've gathered, and I know we were going to go over through a lot of it, is that mobile phones are really the way to go to reach out to. I think that's the biggest trend that we've seen, is that we see more live connections. I mean, just percentage wise, we've seen that 61% of just mobile phones are going to be a better connection rate than even like, the office lines or direct phones. And we're just seeing more of like that downward trend of emails. They're not replying back, but you could definitely get someone live on the phone when you're calling mobile phones. And I would be one of the first people to say is like, I didn't think that was going to be the best way to go, but now post-pandemic, really, we start to see that is the best way and the best route to take when you're trying to reach out to any of your prospects.
And when you talk about the phone, so like, why do you believe the phone is working better, for your customers than email? Just break that down a little bit more for us.
At least from my perspective, it's the live connection. Like, you get to then speak with someone live rather than having to wait for a reply back from any of your prospects via email, and you're able to understand, at least to disposition them even faster that way when you got them live on that conversation, live over the phone. And that's, yeah, I've always believed that. I've started out as a cold caller, as like an SDR for like a lead gen firm years and years ago, and worked my way up. But I've always believed in this method of communication more than anything else, because you're just able to get their live reaction. Are they actually, going to come up with a positive outcome or a negative, and then move on with the sales cycle? So I think that phone calls are always the way to go.
And go ahead, Senraj.
Yeah, Brandon, to add to what Wright said, the inbox cluttering, right? A lot of emails are going to inboxes, and email providers like Gmail and Microsoft, they're trying to kind of filter the emails, divert the emails to spam folders more often than not. So that's one of the reasons why email is not that effective in the recent past. And customers are turning to more phone calls to reach their audience. So that's another reason why phone calls are becoming more important. And the other reason is AI is making phone calls easier to make. It used to be very expensive. You got to manually dial, manually navigate this, that, get to your prospect. Now, many of those things are done by AI, right? While you call. So making calls becomes easier. That's another reason why this is becoming commonplace lately.
Nice. Yeah. And it's interesting, Senraj, about the email sending and the spam blocking. Now you've got providers and experts saying like, you shouldn't send more than 30 to 50 cold emails out of one inbox at a time a day. And that just is wild to me, because I remember years ago, you could do 1,000 emails or 1,500 emails. I think Gmail, they've got you stopped at 2,000, 2,500 emails, but then to get the best deliverability and the best sending, you can only do 30 to 50 is what a lot of my inbox placement experts coach my team on, to where the phone, you could make hundreds of calls a day if you wanted to, and if you had the right to. So I agree with you. That's really interesting. And then, right to your point about selling over the phone, my favorite part about selling over the phone is being able to answer objections and questions in real time. Like, when someone says they're not interested, you could like, okay, is it the product? Is it the company? Is it me? Is it just not a priority? You could really dive in. What are they not interested in? Or, ask questions. If they ask you a question, you could live give them the answer. And I just feel like that opportunity to have a two-way dialogue live in real time is just more powerful than anything when you're prospecting.
I totally agree. And I know that a lot of people, because it took me a long time myself to get over the idea of reaching out to people via their cell phones and mobile phones. But again, like, I this is also my business phone at the same time. So like I'm constantly using this thing, and that it's I think the stigma around of reaching out to people via their personal cell phone, now it's becoming their direct phone, their office line if they're working hybrid, or hell, if they're even working in the office too. Like that is the way. Like you're checking your emails on it. It's a part of your business at the same time.
Yeah, great point. When it
Yeah.
comes to like you've analyzed 20 million calls, right? From users, what surprising trends or myths from your data, are you seeing, or that may have debunked, the myths about cold calling? Like, give us some info about surprising trends or myths that you're seeing among the customers.
Can I share the screen, Brandon? I have a bunch of charts we can go over, and then I
Yeah,
can
yeah.
talk to you
I don't
about
know how to
myths too,
enable
right?
you to do that, but there's probably people smarter than me running this Zoom thing that could totally let you do that. Try to hit share, and if that doesn't work, it may ask me. Okay, multiple panelists can share. Go for it.
Right. Okay. I'm going to share my desktop.
And then
Oh,
while we're
beautiful.
waiting for the share, any questions? I see the Q&A lighting up. Feel free, guests, any questions, post in the Q&A.
So you should be seeing my slide deck, and
Yeah.
so here the common myth is C-level title. If you're going to go after, you won't connect with them that often. That's a myth. It's not true. Across
Right.
so many calls we have analyzed, and if you look at the connect rate right now, C-level has very good connect rate, 9.14%, right? Almost similar to calling a manager, right? Those two bars. And director level, vice president level, a little bit harder to
And then
reach.
by the way, real quick. So for anyone on the Zoom, some of you are saying you don't see it on the screen. So if you go to the top of the Zoom bar, you're going to have the webinar, my screen, Brandon's screen, and then Senraj's screen. Just click in the top of Zoom. You're going to be able to see a screen. You should see call connect rate by contact title. Keep going.
So going back to the myth, right? Calling C-level folks is very hard to do. It's not true. They answer phone a lot. That's one common myth. The other myth is when you make phone calls, you need to use caller ID. Some people call that call from number, whatever that number is. It could be your cell phone number. It could be your office phone number. That's what the prospect is going to see when the call is going to reach them, right? And the common myth is that when your caller ID becomes spam flagged, it is flagged as spam, and you need to release that caller ID and then buy a new one. Okay, that is a common myth. But what you need to do is you have to do the exact opposite. You should never release your caller ID unless you ran through all options to clean up that caller ID. Instead, you need to keep the caller ID. You need to build a reputation with a caller ID. It is very similar to email inbox. Going back to Brandon, you said lately you have to send only 30 to 40 emails out of your inbox on a given day, right? Same kind of thing you have to do with your caller ID. Email inbox, when it goes bad, you don't give up your email inbox. You go and look for a new inbox, right? If you get a new inbox, and then the reputation won't be good. Same thing happens with the caller ID. What we have found is every time you buy a new caller ID, you are buying somebody else bad caller ID. So whenever the caller ID went bad for someone else, they released it, and that caller ID is being swapped to you. So you end up acquiring a caller ID which could be equally bad. Okay. So these are the two myths, we've been seeing.
Yeah, that's wild. So like Twilio, which a lot of dialers use, they basically let you just keep changing out your numbers over and over and over again. And you're saying doing that hurts your deliverability over the phone with prospects.
Right.
And like the more that you own your phone number, you improve the connect rates, you improve the connections with prospects, the more it will show up good, not as spam, all of that jazz. Like, is that what you're really seeing?
Yes, yes, exactly. So once you have caller ID in place, you need to monitor your call volume, very similar to email volume coming out of your inbox. And you have to make sure the number of calls you make is 70 or less, around that number. That threshold number keeps changing. It used to be 100 a while ago. Lately, I'm hearing from telecom companies is around 70. If you start blasting 200 calls, 300 calls using one caller ID, chances are the caller ID will be flagged by AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon. Okay, if not all of them, at least some of them, that will start hurting you. So you have to make sure your caller ID is staying healthy by not overloading it.
If I remember one of my newer reps, he came and like one of his phone numbers, when he called someone, it showed up as spam. This was like, we hired him. He didn't even start. He's making like, he called one of our reps and he's like, hey, your phone number says spam. What do reps do for any business owner, sales team tuning in today, right now? What do we do if our phone number shows up as spam?
Let me jump through my slide deck so that I can get to the slide. I'm going to run through my last few slides. Okay. I'm going to quickly talk about the connect rate. So to maintain good connect rate, so what is a connect rate? It is the percentage of calls getting answered by your target prospects, right? If you make 100 calls, if 8 people are answering the phone, that is 8%, right? That's the percent we are talking about connect rate. That connect rate is so important when you are making phone calls, because that sets the stage for the entire productivity around phone calling, right? If that connect rate is suffering, and then everything else in your pipeline starts suffering. So to maintain good connect rate, you have to focus on two things. Data quality, you need to use the right data, and you need to maintain good set of caller IDs. And so how do you maintain good caller ID health? I talked about call volume. In my list, I put 1, 2, 3. These are, top 3 items we focus on. In our tech, we focus on 2 other items, which is a little bit advanced. People may not be able to do manually. That's why I listed only these 3. And the first thing is you have to try to use local presence as much as possible. For example, if you're
And hold on. So
yeah.
are you saying use local presence as much as possible, or don't use it as much as possible?
Use local presence. When I say local presence, what I mean is like this. You see on my left hand side, each area code in the country is mapped to group of caller IDs, which is closer to that area code, right? Ideally the
Yep.
same area code. And then the number of caller IDs you map to that caller ID, the tech will use that list of caller ID for that area code. And then by doing it, when you make the call, and that particular caller ID gets displayed, and it looks like a local call, and the fact you own the caller ID, it's okay to use those caller IDs. And the other thing that can happen by doing this is you are distributing your call volume, right? Across a large set of caller IDs, you can meet the daily threshold requirement. Remember, 70 calls, you can make 200 calls. By having more caller IDs distributed will help, okay? And now, after you do that, you are using local presence. We recommend using a tech to do it for you. Okay, some people manually do it. For example, I'm going to call my prospects in San Francisco. I'm going to select a caller ID manually. I'm going to call them, right? And then next hour, I'm going to call people in Boston. You switch to Boston caller ID, which is kind of
Yeah.
manual.
The
very
interesting
difficult to
part
do.
that I always have, like, I remember when I started out in sales, I loved local dialing. And then like now that I'm just the CEO running my company, I don't use local dialing. And like when people call me with a 614 Columbus, Ohio area code, I know that they're using a local dialer. So like, does the data support local dialing performs better than non-local dialing? Like what
Yes.
drives connect rates the most? Like, is that just a limiting belief that I've got, or are we seeing other people? And by the way, in the chat, the 400 people on this, in the chat, does local dialing get you to pick up or not? I'd love to see from the webinar attendees if it does. For me, just I know what they're doing. So I typically know, it's a salesperson. I'd love to hear in the chat, guys, what you're seeing. Okay.
So
Yeah.
Go ahead.
by looking at our data, we see 14% jump when we compare
14% increase.
increase
If
jump.
you use
yeah,
local dialing, you could have a 14% increase in pickups.
right.
Okay, cool. And it looks like the audience is interesting. So yeah, it looks like the audience is split. I don't pick up if it's
Yeah.
the same code as me. Yes. If no spam, likely flag. I ignore no. I answer every call. Nice. Zadok Kettle, I got to call you more often. I pick up every call. Carrie says yes. Jerome says yes. Local gets my attention. Patrick, yes. Does the first time, if it's repetitive, Scott says it could come off as deceptive. Brian Livingston says usually not. So it sounds like the group is split, but your data,
Yeah.
14% increase. Okay.
Yeah, and also when you compare the call pickup rate or connect rate between local presence and some customers prefer a random caller ID, right? That is a thing, right? People want to use random caller ID. They have pool of caller ID. They want the tech to keep randomly picking up. We have noticed the call pickup rate is really, really bad. For example, with the local presence, if your call pickup or connect rate is say 8%, with the random caller ID, it can drop to almost 3% based on our data. So that's why most of our customers, they automatically prefer go and use automated local presence, let the tech deal with it. Okay, that's how we explain to them. And then my second point in the slide is manage caller ID health by monitoring call volume, right? Going back to 70 numbers per day, 70 dials you made per day, don't make more dials. And either you have to manually do it or you need to have a tech to do it. And the third one is you have to verify and fix caller ID health, right? So assume you are maintaining the call volume appropriately. Still, there are no guarantees that your caller ID will health remain good.
Totally.
Because someone else might be copying your caller ID, though they didn't buy it. Okay. Maybe they
Yep.
bought it in the past, they released the caller ID for you, but they never stopped using it. They still keep blasting. Okay. Calls
Interesting.
with it.
And when it comes to just switching topics a little bit, when it comes to time of day or day of week, tell us, what are you seeing show the highest connect rates? Time of day of week, when should we be calling?
Time of the day. Okay, that's a very good question. So here is a chart, right? I'm a data guy.
You've got another chart.
Another chart.
Go ahead and click the share your screen again. Sorry, Senraj.
Okay.
He's full of charts. It's a lot of good info, though.
Yeah,
No, I mean, that's what we're looking for. Like, we want the no BS answers to how can everyone on this meeting, on this webinar, make more money over the phone?
Right.
When should we be calling? What should we be saying? How should we be doing it? And by the way, for the audience, just so you're aware, we're going over what's working versus what's not right now. Then we've got objection handling and call quality. We've got coaching and management and optimization. How can you coach with all the data from over the phone? And then best practices and future trends. And they're going to wrap up with an AMA. So I'll try to keep moving us along slide to slide across the 5 sections. But go ahead. Senraj is sharing a screen, top right.
Yeah, so our customer success team kept telling me there is no magical day or time, okay, that we can recommend to our customers. Then I kept asking, let the data tell us that, right? So we crunched the numbers once again. This group of customers, I call them group A customers. For this exercise, I wanted to split customers into two different buckets randomly, right? We want to see what the trend is. So group A customers, we see, if you look at on the left-hand side, 8.18% on Monday connect rate, right? Friday, 8.64%. Friday is slightly higher than Monday, but still only, plus or minus, a few percent, okay? So every single day, more or less, remains the same connect rate. If you're going to pick one day versus another
Yeah,
day,
it's
okay?
wild to me. So it doesn't really matter. Like
Right.
the answer to when we should call is every day. Is that
Every
kind of
day.
where we're at? And then, I mean,
Right.
it does. It's interesting to me. Fridays, just being a CEO of a 300-person company, by Friday afternoon, I'm shot. I'm spent. And that is the time where I will waste the most amount of time. I don't know, business owners, salespeople, go-to-market leaders, participants in the webinar. Like if you see, I believe the data about the whole Friday afternoon and Friday having the highest connect rate, because that's when I tend to get off my agenda a little bit for the week. And like I'm checking out and I'm answering phone calls and I'm wasting
Yeah.
time with salespeople. Like, I'd love to hear in the chat, guys, if you kind of notice that too, and if this data aligns with how you operate and how you pick up calls from people.
Just to butt in real quick with that particular piece of data for Friday, this is even before I started working even for Concert and taking a look at this type of data. I would always call still on Friday afternoons and usually try to reach out to like the C-suite or C-level individuals because they, not to sound crass or anything, but they're kind of like, to your point, Brendan, they're letting their guard down a little bit because like they've gone through an entire week, they're calming down a little bit, and they're like, oh, who's calling me now? I'm like, it's me.
Yeah, I love
And
that.
Yeah.
no, I call that a happy Friday syndrome, right? We all
And
we all are getting into a happy mood as the week is winding down, looking forward to weekend, right?
so
Uh,
the connect rates, it sounds like the app, based on this data, right? The 20 million calls, it sounds like the average connect rate is 8%. Is
in
that what?
with this set of customers, right? I looked
Okay.
at
So
another
this is
set
a
of
specific set
customers.
of data. Got it.
Right, is specific data, set of data. I'll get to why.
What is a bad connect rate, a good connect rate, and a great connect rate? And like what can me and the audience tuning in right now, like what's good, what's bad, what should we be shooting for? And then
Right.
what do we do to improve it? Hit me with that.
So if your connect rate is below 5%, it's bad. Okay, 5% less. So we have looked at customers, so many customers in our platform, and our connect rates are anywhere from 5% on the low end to 15%. Okay, somewhere between 5% and 15%. If you are staying between 5 to 10, you're doing good. Okay, and we've seen customers go to 15% connect rate also. So now quickly, before I switch the slide, we looked at this data, right? What you see on the top left, and we wanted to see hour by hour, what is happening, right? Monday through Friday, we created a chart on the right-hand side, and this set of customers, this data is for sales reps working from East Coast, right? As the day is winding down, the connect rate started going up. And then we kept wondering, why it is going up. Everybody's winding down the day. And then our understanding is these users are switching their calling to West Coast. As their day is winding down, they're switching their calling to West Coast. So West Coast is 2
Yeah.
p.m. when it's 5
I
p.m.
love
People are
that.
answering
I
the
love
phone.
that. And for people tuning in, like I don't know if you're aware, but we've got time zone in Seamless and we've launched time zone because of this specifically. Like I was so sick of hearing my reps ask, well, I need to call the mountain time because they're available now. And I need to call the West Coast, or I need to call the UK because it's early, or, whatever it may be. I'm like, shit, let's just provide time zone by state, by country. And that way, like, so if you're doing blitzes or outbound, know what time zone you want to hit, and you could even divide your segmented list by the time zone. And I think Senraj, that's a great approach to when people are shutting down, you ramp up these different locations.
Exactly. And also in our tech, very similar to what you did in your platform, that we introduced filters, right? You can bring any time zone into our tech and then filter by prospect's time zone, right? Right now, if prospect's time is between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., their local time, put them in my list. The system does all the computing for you so that you don't
Mhm.
have to worry about,
No, I
who's in
love
which
that.
time
And
zone.
then last question on what's working versus what's not. Talk to me about benchmarks and strategies for voicemail effectiveness and follow-up callbacks. So let's stick to voicemails real quick. Like based on your data, and I know you've got like you could drop recorded voicemails and all this jazz. Like what voicemail strategies are getting the most callbacks? Because we would all love to get as many callbacks to meetings as possible.
Sure. I think with voicemail specifically, I've always tried to use them again as strategically as possible when it comes to where a prospect is in your own sales cycle. Whether it's if you're just using a CRM or even spreadsheets, or if you're also using like a sequencing tool that's out there, and but then utilizing voicemails based on like what step that they're in. So you're at least citing specific things, even though it's still generic in a way, because you don't want to just like, be hyper specific every single time, because that's just going to slow you down over time with voicemails. But if you're citing, either like the last step in a sequence, that can always get at least some more interaction, or at least some callbacks, because they're like, oh, wow, yeah, that is right. They sent me this email this past week, and let me take a look at that again. So it's
Like,
not just like,
do you guys recommend that your salespeople at Concert should they leave a voicemail on every call or no? Like, what's
no,
your
not
advice to the
necessarily.
lead?
I think that it really depends on, I would say pepper it in throughout the whole sales cycle. When you're doing that prospecting sales cycle, I think that really just a few in the end is going to help out at least a little bit, and show them that like, hey, I'm actually, trying to speak to you about certain things. There is a reason why I'm reaching out to you, and at least try to start to put a voice to the name that's been either emailing you or calling you. But not a ton. I mean, I think that in the end, if they're interested, they'll definitely start reading the emails you've either sent them, or really start reading the transcription of the voicemail on their phone over
It's
time.
interesting. Like half my reps, and I'd love to hear in the audience, webinar attendees, drop in the chat. Do you leave voicemails or do you not leave voicemails? What's your opinion? Are you a yay or a nay? I know it's funny, right? In Senraj, half my team is like, if I leave a voicemail, they won't get back
Yeah,
to me. My other half is like, on every call, I want an extra ad impression to the prospect. I'm going to leave a
right.
voicemail.
Sure.
And they're kind of split, and I never know which one's right. Like I love the additional ad impression, but
Hmm.
I don't know. Like, what do you do when you've got a camp like mine? 50% don't want to do it. 50% do want to do it. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
how do you handle that?
do A/B testing, right? The usual
Right.
way we learn, right? And drop voicemail. Again, this once again tied to the target market and what is being sold on the phone, right? So many variables, and obviously the voicemail has to be very short, right? It is
Yeah.
intriguing for the prospect. It is acting as another touch point, not annoy them. They are going to call you and opt out of the
And it's
phone, right?
interesting, like to look at
Yeah,
this, right? Ian, of course, always leave a voicemail. Gary always. Craig, no. Daryl, I don't leave. Brent says last resort. Jaquise says voicemail drops are amazing. Anthony says only leave voicemail if the customer knows me. What's up, Kistronic? Great to see you, buddy. Noel says I leave voicemails so they know I'm human. Richard said leave voicemails, very generalized. Petro's got a good strategy. Voicemail on first call only.
right.
Ian says, may as well not call if you don't leave voicemail. So great tips. Thank you everyone for dropping that. So it sounds like the whole damn room is split. We got up to 500
Yeah,
people. Everyone's split.
Right. That's the thing. It's just like your team you're talking about. It ranges the whole spectrum of going back and forth. But I think again, if voicemails could be utilized as a tool of some kind, then try to be as strategic as possible about it. And I think, again, like to Senraj's point, it's still A/B testing. Sometimes it's hyper specific to an individual contributor, or it could be based on the industry that you're calling into. Like maybe there's an industry that just don't ever listen to their voicemail. We don't know for sure until you start gathering that data up and seeing, also asking even your prospects who do try to call you back, oh, is it because I just left you that great voicemail? It's like, no, I didn't even know that. I just saw that email you sent me. Like, okay, then like we now know that maybe voicemails are not the best approach. But I think from my experience, again, trying to be as strategic as possible. I don't leave voicemails every single time, neither does my team. But if we are leaving it voicemails, like we do a lot of voicemail drops on our side, but if we are specific to the particular steps of where we are in that sales cycle, we've seen it become a little bit more effective.
Yeah, and I think, with the strategy, like my team, I believe voicemails are even more ultra effective with getting callbacks and getting interest and getting replies when you're going after a super segmented list. If I'm going after
Yeah.
CEOs of B2B software companies that just raised a Series A in San Francisco, I know exactly their pain points, their problems, their challenges, their goals, their dreams, their desires. I can drop a voicemail, even though it's not hyper personalized in this voicemail drop strategy that you've got, it will kind of sound and feel personalized because it's a tight segmented list.
That exactly. It's still you're still being strategic. It's like you're taking out a part of your pipeline. Like, okay, well, how can I have a particular campaign either via emails or those voicemails as well? How can they be personalized as much as possible? Because it's not going to be like every single time it's like, hey, Brandon, like you want to go as quickly as possible, but still being hyper specific to that particular either industry or ICP.
Yeah, I love that. And when it comes to, Sarah just asked a great question that came in through the Q&A that we want to get on topic. What are the most common objections reps face during cold calls, according to your analytics? So based on all of your calls, what are the most common objections reps face, and then strategies to help them overcome it?
I'll take this for instance, because I think we've heard every kind of objection, but the biggest one I think that it's just to articulate is going to be that knee-jerk reaction of just like, I'm busy, or like I'm not interested. It's like they're not even like listening to you. So like, why is that happening? Is your immediate pitch your opener even that good to begin with? And if you're seeing that more and more often, and what we've seen is that knee-jerk reaction within the first 10 to 15 seconds, then are you really that effective when someone does answer the phone, and how you're introducing yourself? Is your tone good? Are you trying to sound like welcoming even though you're reaching out to them? So I think that's the biggest thing that we've seen, is that knee-jerk reaction of objections. And that makes sense, because like that first, again, 15, 20 seconds, that is like almost the most crucial part, because once you start getting in, if you've gone past that, and once you start getting into more of the conversation, a true conversation, things start to go more in a positive way. At least, even if it's a negative outcome, you at least are able to disposition them because you understand why. Like, okay, they're just not qualified at this point. But that first 10, 15, 20 seconds is, you're going to get a lot of knee-jerk reactions or knee-jerk objections, like, stop cold calling me, or like, how'd you get this phone number? And it's like, Zoom info. Of course I got that. Where else would I have gotten that? It's like everyone's data is out there to begin with, but that's what we see more often than not.
Yeah, and when it comes to it, look, we've done 250 million in sales and 220,000 appointments. The number one objection that we see is, I'm not interested, right off the rip.
Yeah, not
because
interested.
it's a knee-jerk rebuttal, hesitation objection, right, on every cold call. So for anyone clearly out there, there's only 10 to 15 sales objections that you'll run into on every sale. They're repeated all the time. Number one is, I'm not interested. Have a great script written out to overcome that, or address it, to open up the conversation, to learn more, engage why they may not be interested, ask questions, do additional sales discovery, and then try to take them from a zero, no interest to okay, I'm interested in learning more. You've created the fear of missing out, or you've shared a benefit that I may not have. I blew you off. It's a blow off sales objection. So what can we say and what can we do to get them interested again, to not blow us off? Because you only really have two shots. The first pitch, and then if it's a knee jerk, I'm not interested, then you've got to do something. What's a different value proposition that is different than the first value proposition that didn't work, to get them connected, to get them to want to learn more, either through an email, set up a meeting, set up a call, you name it.
I've always seen work time and time and again as like a problem-based hook more than anything else, is that because you want them to understand any of your prospects you're reaching out to is like you're reaching out for a reason. You're trying to obviously sell them something, your product, but letting them know that they're not alone in the industry. Like they're not the only ones that are just experiencing this pain of whatever it is that you're trying to sell. And I think that's worked for me, not just here at Koncert, but that's worked for every single organization I've worked for in the past, that it feels like kind of keeping up with the Joneses sort of effect in a way, but it's like, hey, look, it's like, you're not the only person that's experiencing this particular issue. I'm trying to keep it vague, but we're here to help out because that's what we're hearing as well from all these other different prospects and companies that are out there. How are you addressing this particular issue on your end? And then it opens up. You're asking an open-ended question, and it really starts to make them wonder, like, okay, well, how are we doing that? And like that's if you get them in right there, now you're getting past that 20-30 second mark. Then you're getting into that more of that conversation. And again, if you're asking them more and more of these open-ended questions, having a true conversation, you're increasing that probability that it's going to go towards a positive outcome.
Yeah, I agree. My friend Josh calls it poke the bear. Like if you get the I'm not interested, what question can you ask, to kind of like poke the bear, poke the issue, poke the problem that they're probably having to get more information out of them. And then you could continue the dialogue and continue the conversation. Have you, when it comes to, Ralph has got in the chat here, patterns. Have you found patterns in talk to listen ratio for successful versus unsuccessful calls? So to repeat, have you found patterns in talk to listen ratios for successful versus unsuccessful calls?
More talking by the rep is not good. And every time we see reps talking more, the outcomes are not favorable, versus when reps are listening more, it's tied to better outcome. That's what we have seen in our data.
Okay, got it. Again, and what do you think the percentage should be? So it sounds like if you talk less, you'll sell more. And what should that ratio be if we're tracking this?
We don't have that data exactly to put 30% more versus 40%. It is more tied to what they are trying to sell, to whom they are selling, and sometimes it's a complex sale. It has different dynamics versus a commoditized selling, right?
Yeah, I believe like high volume sales, you're probably talking more complex sales. You're probably asking a lot more complex questions, and it's a lot of note taking and CRM, you name it. Okay, but at a high level, reps should always be talking less than prospects.
I've always felt that way too. Like again, it's there's so many different ideas surrounding like what makes the perfect sales rep and how it should do things. And I've always felt like that the active listening as much as possible. Again, that means that you're probably talking less. You're listening to your prospects and or customers, and they'll divulge more and more information, like or also that other idea of like the first one who speaks loses sort of idea. But the whole point of that is that you're really wanting to understand in the end if they're going to be the best customer for you guys, and also if you even can provide this product that you're trying to sell them in the first place. I think going in with the best intentions, I saw Jason saying like a good attitude works great. I 100% believe that for sure, because you should really go into every conversation understanding is this going to truly work for them? Because then that's going to create a great relationship, not only just in that first initial cold call, but for the years and years that they are renewing with you at that point.
Yeah, I like that. Oh, God.
I had a question. Earlier, you asked a question about what's the right connect rate, Brandon. So I gave a very large range, 5% to 15%. Here is why. This slide, we looked at data. What's a connect rate based on company revenue, prospect company revenue, right? And then if you look at somewhere between more than 1 million and less than 50 million, right? Where the bar number 2 from the bottom, right? 2, 3, 4, 5 tends to yield better connect rate as you move upstream.
Oh, got it. And by the way, audience, if you're in the webinar, make sure you click at the top Senraj screen. You could see this data called connect rate by company revenue. Keep going.
Right. So now this is why we always want to look at connect rate per customer or per group of customers, not generalize. People always ask me that, okay, give me what's the magic number? There's no magic number. You have a range and then stay within the range.
Yeah, I think
5%
this
to
this
15%.
data is really good. It kind of, one thing that I know I don't do, and I don't know about you guys tuning in, is track your connect rate by employee size. I don't, or by revenue. I don't think my team and I do that, and we should. And then we'll know the benchmark and then what we need to do to beat it to improve the connect rates, which get us more meetings and opportunities. Like,
Yep.
I didn't even think to do that. Like, that's going to be one takeaway for me right after this call.
Right. And another way to look at the same data is look at by industry, right? And if you look at the first industry at the very top, financial services, okay, 6.91% connect rate, still it's good. But when you compare with retail and wholesale at the very bottom, 10.38%, there's a big swing, right? And so based on which industry you are calling into, and what's the revenue size of the prospect, and what's the title or persona of the prospect you are trying to contact. Those are the major drivers play into what the ultimate connect rate is going to be.
I
So
like
you need to
that.
kind of,
And
yeah.
Jake had a good question, I think, on this slide or the other side. He had asked, what is the best opener? Like, do your analytics show that certain openers or hooks increase call engagement? What is the best opener or hook that would increase call engagement?
Ooh, there's always a couple of routes to take. There's always like the permission-based openers, like, hey, I know this is a cold call. Do you have 30 seconds to speak? I've seen that quite a bit with not only here just at Concert. A few of our reps are doing that here, but also with a lot of our clients as well. But also just going straight into it.
And to make this interactive, audience, I'd love to hear in the chat, how do you do your cold call openers? Just let's learn from each other. Like, I'll share, like, we definitely use a compliment plus permission based opener.
Yeah.
That's what my 100 SDRs and 50 AEs use. I'd love to hear in the chat, everyone, what do you do for your openers and hooks to get more connections and meetings? And then Wright and Senraj, what does your team do? And then what do you see from the data?
Going back to what Wright said, that it is more permission based, right? And if you very quickly get out, hey, it's an unscheduled call. Do you have 30 seconds? If you don't like what I'm saying to you, and you can get off the phone, right? So as soon as you say that, it lets them put their guards down. They listen to you. Many times in our analytics, we see the prospect saying, okay, I have a minute. Okay, tell me why you called, kind of scenario. And then the other type of opener, there are many different types of opener. That's the opener we see working more often. Right, I'm sure you experimented with many different openers.
No, I'm just reading the chat and I'm loving. Like again, I think there's a lot of own personal experiences with everything that we've been talking about today, which I love, like, kind of covering the spectrum, like, do voicemails work or not? And definitely when it comes to like openers and pitches, like that's where people are like, no, it's definitely permission based. Or like I saw someone else saying, it's like, I just go straight forward. It's like, let's talk about the pain right now. I tend to be more on the side of like, let's get straight to the pain. It's like, look, I've been speaking with a lot of people that are experiencing this. I'd love to talk to you about this because how are you addressing this particular issue? And it just goes straight to the meat of the conversation because it gets them to start to engage immediately. Because there's a lot of schools of thoughts around like, the permission based, like, does that give them an out? Like it could. Also, I mean, everyone who's on here, they could easily hang up on you. Like there's nothing stopping them except for the social contract, I guess. But I go straight for it because I think that I don't want to waste their time. They know what this is. They know that, like, they answer the phone, they don't know who it is, and then they're starting to talk with you. They know it's a cold call at that point. So let's just go to the nitty gritty. That's my own personal.
And I love this. And you know what? I've never done this before. Someone's got a hand raise. Let's bring them on the stage and see what question they've got, and then we've got a poll. So, Josh, you had your hand raised. Hit us with what you got today. We're taking live callers. I've always wanted to do a show where we took live callers. So, Josh, if you unmute yourself, you could drop in, whatever question you've got, and if we don't hear from you in a few seconds, we'll go to the next one for a live question.
First time caller, long time listener.
Okay, looks like he's not jumping in, so that didn't work. We'll keep it going. So next question, live.
Watch now. Unmute yourself.
Oh, really? Hold on. Let me see if I could try to help here. Ask to unmute. I don't know if there's a way to help you out there.
Maybe not with this sort of setup.
Yeah, maybe John could do it. He's our admin guru. But okay, all good. So when it comes to, we've got another question from Ashley. How can leaders use cold call recordings or transcripts to coach more effectively?
Oh my gosh.
And I'll take that, right? So
yeah, go for it.
If you are using a tech, which is creating the transcript, the text should help you to identify what opener they're using, how they are pitching, what type of objections they are facing during the call, and how are they overcoming that objection. Pretty much everything the tech has to analyze and tell you. And if you are not using such a tech, I will recommend that you get a transcript of all the calls. Obviously, you need to start with the recording and then get a transcript and use any of the LLMs, ChatGPT 5.0 or Google Gemini 2.5. Upload your transcripts and ask a simple prompt. Analyze all these calls and identify objections and rank them for me. Okay, so that's how you need to put the prompt. So what the LLM does is the LLM is going to scan through every one of those transcripts you uploaded, and then it's going to identify all objections, and then it's going to do sum total for you. Across all these calls, I see 13 different times this objection showed up, not interested. And then LLM can also tell you out of 13 times, how many times the rep overcame the objection properly. Okay, pretty much everything LLM can do. So that's what I recommend. And then if you use a tech, the tech should be a simple dashboard. Go on point and click, filter date range and which reps call you need to take into account, and the tech will tell you these are all objections, this is the ranking, this is where you need to spend time coaching.
And I was going to add to that too is that my apologies, Brandon. I forgot exactly who asked that question. Ashley.
Yeah, Ashley. Ashley asked the question.
One thing that you can get to real quick to utilize Senraj's method also is look on duration of call. Anything that's below 30 seconds, don't forget about those. Those are really important too. Like we were talking about a little earlier. It's like, okay, if you start to see a lot of connections or conversations with one of your reps, but they're all under 30 seconds long, what's happening? Like why are they not getting more to minutes at that point? So listen to those as well. Don't forget about those because you could start to see trends more of like those knee-jerk reactions or those knee-jerk objections. It's like, okay, what's going on here? How can I coach this individual to make sure that their opener is stronger? Are they getting right to the point? Are they asking permission-based selling or permission-based? Like there's a lot of trends you could see even within those. And then if they're a little bit longer, but they're still not resulting into meetings or positive outcomes or dispositions, then yeah, to Senraj's point, why are they seeing a trend of like objections at that point? Like what, no budget or, not a good time. Like, are they really finding or expressing the value of whatever your product is? That's the other areas you can start to coach on. So you can kind of start chopping it up into particular areas.
Now, I've got a good question with call recordings. Like, what about the states that say you're not allowed to do, what is it, one-way, two-way call
Two-party
recordings?
consent state.
So one-party consent state means you could record it. Two-party means you have to say something.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to announce. You need to get their permission to record.
Okay. So is that like, hey, Senraj, it's Brandon at Seamless. This call's recorded. I'm calling about blank. Is that like a good way to, like, how would you recommend me and other people here who want to record their calls, but it may call it two-party consent state?
Right. So unless you announce and the prospect acknowledges, you are not allowed to record that call because you need to get consent from all parties or two parties here. And during a cold call, if you go in that path, and we heard multiple times, many times over the years, that it leads to resistance, right? First of all, you're cold calling is an unscheduled call. And then at that point, you're asking for this permission to, right? You have to be careful. And then you need to figure out each state, whichever state you're calling into.
What are the two-party consent states? Like if you had like a high-level list, what are some of the two-party consent states?
We have about, I believe, 14 of them.
14 states, yeah.
14 states. And in Massachusetts, New Hampshire, right? They're kind of where I live. So the number of other states too. So
one way you can cut it up, Brandon, is when you're first starting to ramp up people, is have them try to focus more on those one-party consent states so that you can hear both sides of the conversation, and then have them start to graduate into more of the two parties, so you can provide that like much needed coaching at the very beginning of as they're cold calling for the organization.
I love that.
Also, we can tell the tech if it's a two-party consent state, don't record the call.
Yeah.
And record only the rep's voice, right? Rep is your employee. And then you can get permission that way and you can record. But prospects voice,
this is a good one. Dominic says, I'm in MA. The workaround that I have seen is just to record your own side of the conversation. You'll be able to hear what you're saying.
Right.
Maybe triggering a negative response. So you won't be able to record the other person, but they could record their own. That's interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
Good share, Dominic. Thank you. Oh, and then we've got we've got a poll running right now just to get a feel, how many of you are doing outbound cold calling to book meetings today. Let's pull up the poll. I don't know, John, Wright, Senraj, do you see the poll on the screen when I'm sharing it?
Yeah.
It just popped up.
Yeah, so it looks like we've got...
That sucks. It says hosts and panelists cannot vote. I find discrimination here.
So it's interesting. We're trending at 22% don't do outbound calling right now. Almost 80% say yes, of course. Awesome. Good to hear. And by the way, while we're doing this, oh, damn, our guy that we wanted, Adam, he might have had to jump. He had his hand raised. If anyone's got their hand raised to do a live call-in, we could try that again. But We'll move on to, we've only got a few more sessions with a lot of great questions coming in from the audience. Got another question about coaching management and optimization. And thank you guys. Keep dropping your Q&A into this. Ed says, what metrics should sales managers be using and watching daily versus weekly versus monthly? So what metrics should sales managers be using to coach up their team daily, weekly, monthly?
Can I, Wright, can I take
Go
a
for it.
stab and then you can
Yeah.
follow up?
Mhm.
And we look at what I call a conversation pipeline. How many times they are connected to the prospect, we call connects, right? From there, how many times they've gone past 1 minute mark, right? Once you get past 1 minute, we consider that as a conversation. You can adjust that to 15 seconds, 30 seconds, whatever that mark is for your business. So look at that stat, and then the final stat is the meetings booked. And if reps are struggling to convert from a connect to a conversation, they're not getting past 1 minute, that's the stat you should pay attention to, right? Because that's where the gold is sitting for you to coach, right? Your reps need little bit help. If you can help them, they can keep moving forward. Many conversations will be happening, and then they can look forward to booking a meeting. And then once you have conversation stats, you got to look at what portion of them are getting converted to meeting. Okay, we call conversations to meeting ratio. And then so that will tell you why they are struggling to convert to a meeting. Once again, they might be facing objections. It could be different type of objections. Maybe they did a great pitch, but the value proposition, didn't sound or resonate with the prospect. And you need to kind of find a way to, coach coach around that objection.
Yeah, and I would say for our team, adding to that, great one, Senraj. Obviously, we track dials, the number of dials, the number of connects, the talk time, and then what I would recommend for everyone is like where we can record and transcribe, etc. Like feeding it into the analyzers and the LLMs and the AIs to give you, like, this is all based on what permissions you have, etc. Right? But you could use AI to analyze, like, what are the top objections? What are the top questions? What are the top openers and hooks? So we try to use AI to analyze all of this to then tell us, hey, this objection I'm not interested is coming up 80% of the time. I need to talk to, I'm the wrong person is coming up 20% of the time. And the top 3 questions are, how much is it? What's your difference? Why are you so much better than blank or why? How many, emails or cell phones do you get, etc. So, I love being able to coach on calls, talk time, connects, the conversations that they're actually having, and the silent listening, or what do you guys call it, where a leader can listen into the call and then coach their rep.
It's
So
called
they
whispering mode, whisper, right? You can listen.
Or remote
as a
coach,
rep.
yeah.
You can listen into the call, and then if necessary, you can say something to the earpiece of your rep. They can hear it, but not the prospect on the other end. So live coaching, you can do that. And
Awesome.
then,
And then the next question, Sarah asks, how do you use call disposition data to identify training or coaching opportunities?
Right. Well, one quick thing is, go ahead, right? Yeah.
No, yeah, I try to be with dispositions as specific as possible if you can, and you don't want to have 100 different dispositions to choose from, because then it just becomes unruly at that point. But to have is if you have too generic of dispositions within your either the system that you're playing with and interacting with, then a lot of things start to become muddled, and it starts to bleed in from positive and negative. So the more detailed then you can be in your dispositions, like you can always create multiple objection dispositions. I was like, there's no reason not to. And I think that also helps out because then you could start to see trends at like a categorical level. The more you could like be categorical with like your data, and that's not just like the, database and the marketplace that you're calling into, but also the data that you're taking from that. I always say the better, because then you can start to see the trends of where you're being successful, where you're not being successful. That's only going to help you out in the end. And yeah, you don't want to overload your team members or yourself if you're your own individual contributor. But the more you have in there, it's going to only help you out.
Got it. I like that. And then Catherine asks, how can leaders use analytics to identify burnout or fatigue before it hurts performance? I like this one because
yeah,
I don't know. I know my team and I, or at least me as the CEO, I have no idea. Maybe my team does, but I don't know how to figure out people that are burning out or that may quit when calling and dialing and doing the prospecting. Like, is there a way to do that? Like, how do you identify that?
There's a lot of different ways, but I think at a bird's eye view, what you see first, if you see the dials in if you're talking about let's say dialing specifically, if you start to see dials and connections consistent, or they're still staying in okay, but the conversation rate starts to die down, what's happening? If they're your top performer and they were producing, they're either hitting their goals or exceeding them, but all of a sudden over time you start to see that those conversation rates go down, then that's when you should feel a little alarmed, where you're like, okay, well, what's going on here? None of the core data changed. There's no new variables that are in play. They're calling the same database. They're calling the same territory, whatever the situation is. But if you start to see that go down, that should be the first red flag. You go in there, you start listening to calls. Are they really having better conversations? Is something going on? And then you can start to effectively coach with more the subjective side of coaching. And because you've taken that objective data, it's okay, their conversations are going down. Now what can I provide them to get them back on track?
Yeah, I like that. One of the things that I saw that we've caught a few times is people doing the outbound calling, but they're just not working and they're just letting it go. And they're playing FIFA or they're watching ESPN, in a remote world. I don't know in the chat, unfortunately we had to part ways with a few people who did this, but you'll have employees who are SDRs or AEs or whatever. They'll come on and they'll just let it go. They'll burn through a ton of leads. They'll be watching TV or doing something else. Is there a way to detect this and to stop it?
Well, if it's not producing,
eventually they're going to weed themselves out because they're not going to be making any deals, right? But I'm just curious if there was a way to proactively detect that, unfortunately.
One of the things, and I won't even speak biasly about how we do it at Koncert. One of the things I used to do back at a lead gen firm that I worked for years ago, we called this dummy dialing. We're just you have to make 100 calls a day. And you're just wow, you did that in 2 hours. You're just, God's gift to man. How did you do that? I'm sure. I didn't talk to anybody because you're just dialing and then hang up, dialing, hang up.
Got it. So
if you start to see, well, not only that, but if you start to see trends, because you have expectations about all of your individual contributors on your team. What they're capable of, what, because you try to look for patterns. At least that's what I try to do for any of my team members. Is okay, you're consistently doing this, and then all of a sudden, let's just say you have full sales cycle reps, right? Well, you have sales rep A who is always killing it. They're consistently exceeding their target every single month, and then all of a sudden they have a goose egg. They don't hit anything. You're what happened here? And that's where you can go in and see if there are any trends that are leading to that. So going back to dialing, if they're you have people that are just complacent or just not even paying attention to what they're doing, then you'll start to see just based on the results. and also their patterns from before. So if someone all of a sudden like, oh, yeah, that new FIFA game just came out and it's really cool. Like, okay, well, the months before you were killing it, then what is happening here? You need to course correct, because you're only going to, like, at that point, as a leader, you'd explain to your team members, like, you're only hurting yourself. It's not like you can get away with like 1 month or 2 months of just like, well, I was killing it for the first 9 months of the year. I should be okay after this. Like, that's not how I think all of us can say, that's not how sales works. Like, you're the lifeline of the company. They hired you for a few reasons. One, you're good at it, but two, you're making the business money to keep it afloat and to then become successful. And if you're not doing that, then what are you doing here? Because they pay you good money to be told no 1,000,000 times a day, and then to get that yes, to get the company 1 extra inch in towards the black.
I love that. Yeah, no, that makes total sense, right? Larry asked another good question, and then we'll move on to best practices and future trends. What do you recommend for ramping new reps faster using call insights or data? Like, how do I hire someone brand new and get them ramped as fast as humanly possible? What are the secrets?
I always say lead with the objective data, and then you can start to go into more of the subjective side of ramping and training and coaching. It's like, hey, say things like this. But if you set the expectations of like what is expected out of them initially, they have like ground to stand on. Like, they can't argue with that. Like, if they say like, oh, you have to make 100 calls a day, we've seen in the past for individuals like you that are starting out in this role, that if you do that at the bare minimum, everything else will start to fall into play. And so if they have that, at least initially, they'll see the science to the art of this, because then you'll be able to focus more on that subjective side of coaching and ramping it up in individuals. Like, hey, make sure that when you're asking questions, they're insightful, that you're, producing some kind of, you're asking about a pain, but then you're able to produce a value around it right after that, and have a good, and then, when you experience these objections, then here's a rebuttal for that, but also, why are they saying these objections? If I always say, if there's someone says like, oh, we don't, not interested, or we don't have a budget, it's because they don't see the value in it. I would say is that, like, if they see the value in it, then it doesn't matter if your product is the most expensive thing in the world. Is like, oh wow, that sounds cheap, if they see the value in it. But you could be selling something for free, and it's like, that's too expensive. They don't see the value.
And also, once you train and coach them, do not follow waterfall methodology where you hire, train them, you put them on the floor and hope everything is going to work. Always have a closed loop process. Whatever you train and coach may not be implemented, right? When the calls are happening, reps will struggle. So lately you can use AI, and we have tech where reps can do cold calling to a bot, to our AI bot, and you can build a different persona. And hey, my
Yeah, it's
reps are
basically
calling,
role playing.
role playing.
Yeah, that's cool.
So
I like that a lot.
they can talk to the bot, and they feel very comfortable because they're dealing with a machine, not a live human being. And then you get to read that transcript, you get to listen to their
Practice makes
calls.
perfect, like,
Exactly.
I'm a big fan, practice off the field. So when you're on the field with a prospect, you don't blow the deal. Like, that's the worst. That makes total sense. Okay. So last section, and then we're going to get into the Q&A. By the way, if anyone wants to join the stage live for a question, just raise your hand. We're going to give it one more shot to see if we can bring someone on. And while we let anyone that wants to join live do that, how is AI changing the art and science of cold calling? This came in from Michael. He said, how is AI changing the art and science of cold calling? And then we're going to see if we can get Billy on stage.
So until now, we are used to provide training across the entire team, same training to everybody, right? Now AI is going to change that entire process, where we can move into personalized training, personalized coaching, right? rep one may need to be coached in different area versus rep two, right? They're dealing with the two different scenarios, and then AI can create custom training coaching. You can take that burden away from the sales leader or sales manager.
By just
So-
having them like role play with the AI, learn with the
Exactly,
AI.
And it's very custom. It's very similar to personalized medicine, right? That's where medicine is going. Same thing can happen with sales reps, right?
What do you
That
mean
is-
personalized medicine?
meaning that instead of taking a generic medicine for everybody and moving forward, it'll be all individualized, right? Each person is different, their genetics is different, so it is all fine-tuned for them. Okay, same thing can happen with AI. Such a thing is very difficult to do under the current circumstance. Now we talk about span of control, right? Each sales manager can have 8 employees reporting to that manager, right? Moving forward, that equation can be changed also using AI.
I like that. Okay, Billy, welcome. What's going on? Happy
Hey.
Thursday. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. How's everybody doing?
Doing well.
great. Doing great. I feel like this is Dave. What was that finance guy? Dave, the finance question guy. I don't remember his name. But
Dave
well,
Ramsey.
Dave Ramsey. Yes, Dave Ramsey.
yeah.
Welcome to the show, Billy. What question do you have for us?
So I posted it in the Q&A section. What methods do you guys use to help prevent the burnout? Day in, day out, you've got people hammering phones 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. It's inevitable. What are the tools you guys implement, or how do you make sure that they are happy, healthy, productive, and thriving? Because the last thing we want is to invest so much into this person just for 6 months to a year to like, I gotta go.
Yeah, and you'll lose the damn profitability too,
Yeah.
right? If you hire them and they burn out or quit 3, 6, 12 months in and whatnot. Okay, I've got our recommendation on like what we do, but right, Senraj, you're the guest, so go ahead and share. What do you do to prevent burnout? Billy, thanks for joining us. Great question.
I'll start just real quick, but I focus on with my team, like what is the ultimate goal, to know that there is something to shoot for, but providing them my attention as much as possible. I'm getting messages on Slack right now. They're cheering me on, but I think a lot of like an open door policy as well, really listening to them to know that like, and understanding if there is an issue going on, then how can we get in front of this so they feel heard? And I love try to focus on and culture as well with the team. But if I see that burnout, again, is trying to identify again if there is an like objectionable issue that's going on with how they're trying to hit their numbers, and if they're just like not getting there, and then providing again that subjective coaching at that point, and then really trying to make it hyper specific towards them, because they want to know this like, oh, everyone is not hitting meetings right now. I was like, well, no, what's happening with me? Like they want to know that. I took a great like sales leadership course years ago that was focusing on was a strategic leadership course I took at a company, and that really opened my eyes, because I always and anyone else here can disagree with me, but I always objected to the idea of like, here's my A players, here's my B players, here are my C players. Like no. Like that just seems very dismissive to me, just personally. I've always thought like, okay, there are aspects of an individual that are like A player, like they're great at closing business, but they are a D player when it comes to updating Salesforce. It's like, so they're not tracking. There's like, but you could focus on those particular aspects or attributes of an individual.
Yeah, great points. And I would say for us, Billy, it's tough. We're 100% remote. I used to have an office and it was amazing. And it used to be really, really easy to keep people motivated, inspired, culture driven, face to face. Like they see me as the CEO working 15 to 18 hours a day. Like they know I'm going to be the first one in, last one out. And I just set the example there. And when it comes to like doing this remote, what Adam, our head of inside sales, does, and Mike, our head of just our chief revenue officer, we'll open the day and we'll have like a daily stand up with the whole team. So the inside sales team or the AE team, each team, CS team, they have their own 15 to 30 minute daily stand up. It's got to bring the culture together, bring everyone together. They'll also block a time for role playing. So we have our own AI role playing software. Senraj does as well. Like we'll have everyone have a scheduled 15 to 30 minute AI role playing. It used to be before AI, it used to be live role playing with each other. And then we would randomize the objections and the questions that would be asked. So like every day they wouldn't know what would be coming. And then we would have like, we do a group of three. One was the scorer, one was the prospect, one was the salesperson. And then they'd run that. And then the next day, you know, it randomizes it, do it again. But with AI, now you can do that daily. And that's amazing. And then also, I think it's all about like the celebrations and the training. We do a lot of daily or weekly training, and I think it's more weekly now or every other day where, hey guys, we're hosting a training session on this topic. Anyone can join. If you want to learn about it, join. The newbies may be required, like the first 90 days, they're required to join the training sessions. The non-newbies, it's optional. And that helps build and foster culture and alignment and just care. And then lastly, like celebrating the wins and the lessons. Like we have a channel called the wins channel or the gong channel where like you hit the gong, celebrate the wins, celebrate the people. Like, so all of our SDRs, every time that they book a meeting, they celebrate it in the gong channel for the SDRs. Every time an AE closes a deal, celebrate it in the AE gong channel. And we're just always cheering people on and try to build that culture and then just reiterate that whatever it takes, all in attitude. I think it comes from the top down, leaders down to the people. And if it doesn't start at the top, it won't go. But awesome question. Hopefully that answers everything for you.
That's awesome, Billy. Thank you. And I was gonna say one other thing too. Don't be like if anyone here is an individual contributor, don't be afraid to role play with your managers. I used to do it all the time, and my reps would come up to me because they would want to prep for a meeting, and they want to go through like every conceivable option that this could take, like all the different forks in the roads, and then like how do we do that? So I would always play like the prospects, and they would come to me about those things. Like, okay, they're really caring about like how they're going to get something across the finish line, and if you see more and more individual contributors thinking about that way, then you got some solid people on your team.
I love that. And then best practices. One more question, and then we're going to open it up to the Q&A. What's the biggest missed opportunity most sales teams overlook when using a dialer? What's the biggest missed opportunity most sales teams overlook when using a dialer?
I'll take that question. We might have touched upon this a little bit earlier. We see customers spending a lot of money running payroll, hiring people, training, and buying tech, give it to them. And they're missing, many of them are missing to track how many conversations it takes to get to a meeting. And then why enough conversations are not happening with their reps. Okay, it's all tied to how their pitch is, how the opener is, and so forth. That kind of analysis is not happening. That's a big missed opportunity.
Got it. Yeah. And I would say on our end, I think for us, we always believe it's in the list. Like your sales team is going to do great with outbound selling if they've got a great list. And you know, you're just one list away from winning our 6-figure club, 7-figure club, 8-figure club, 9-figure club. Like build that ready to buy, high intent buyers list, load up in the dialer, make sure people are prepped, trained, ready to go to make every connection count. And I think preparation is when hard work meets opportunity. So when you could prep and have them rolling, like you could do anything. Great. We're going to bring up Lorena. Happy Thursday. Oh, maybe Lorena didn't want to be brought up. um, all good, all good. So we've got some questions. We're looking at the Q&A. We have over 250 questions that were asked. So we're going to try to hit a bunch of these as much as possible. Daniele raised hand. Let's see if this works. Let's try it.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, what's going on? Happy Thursday.
I'm very good, thank you. Likewise, yourself. I just had a question. So I'm the current account manager in the firm, and we're looking to hire our first SDR. So I was wondering if you guys had any tips for me and for hiring a new SDR. And
Oh
Yeah, great
man.
question. Like one of the things, because I've hired over 1,000 salespeople because I've been doing Seamless for 10 years. It's a lot. But the first thing I would recommend, just to be like very direct with like the playbook, like one, who's your ICP? Daniel, based on who you sell to, I would build out like who's your ideal salesperson or SDR? Like, are you high volume, low ticket? Are you high ticket, highly consultative? Like, and then figure out, use GPT and other AI to help you develop the right interview questions. So like it all comes down to the job description, the advertising of the SDR role. And then once you get them, making sure you've got great interview questions like, how many years of sales experience do you have? Did you study sales in college? What's your business major? Like the chemical engineering major in college, I have the data based at our company. The sales major or the business major outperforms the chemical engineering major 4-1. And that's nothing wrong with chemical engineers. It's just like there's certain majors that perform way worse in sales. They churn fast. The business, the sales, anyone that's done a sales program are athletes. So if we have an SDR that was an athlete, they perform almost double non-athletes. We also see that, anyone that's been promoted, that worked a hard job, that's gone through hard things personally, like if it's a gold fed spoon person, like, which means like they came from a rich family, they had everything given to them, versus someone that like grew up on the streets and had to find how the hell they're going to eat next. The person that's got that hunger and that drive, they outperform, the latter. The former outperforms the latter every time. So I think it's big in the marketing, it's big in the interview. And then for them to be successful, create online courses, create training, create videos, create live shadow sessions, because it's hard to find them, hire them, and then train them so that they hit your revenue goals and your meeting goals. That would be my best recommendation from my experience.
I
And
appreciate that. Thank you
one
very
of the
much.
other things you might want to look out for is just curiosity during the interview process. Like, do they know anything about your company? Are they asking you questions about what's going on there, and what they are like? Do you look for? I always find it like if they're interested in the company, if they're interested in the product, and they're interested in you, then that leads me to believe that one, they're probably going to be interested even in the prospects and or customers that they're trying to reach out to as well. And like those are the attributes and skill sets that you want to also look for. They're a lot more intangible, like what Brandon's talking about too.
And also during the interview, spend 5 minutes towards the end of the interview, try to coach them. Ask them to pitch your product to your prospect. Tell them it's okay. They can stumble, mumble, and then tell them you're going to coach them within a minute. And then ask them, based on your coaching, pitch you again, right? Go through that role play. Within 5 minutes, you'll know, one, they are easily coachable. Will they pick it up, run with it, right? It is all about coaching, right? You cannot hire the perfect SDR. You need to hire and coach them. So
Yeah, it's funny. Charles says, ask them to sell this pen to you.
The Jordan
Yes.
Belfort approach.
Yeah. Every interview I attend, and I am always, getting into role play. Right there, you learn so much about that individual.
Yeah. Well, yeah. My hiring manager, I just got a meeting with them yesterday. They role play in the final interview. So
Oh yeah.
Daniel, that could be a great thing to do is like role play with them. How do they feel role playing? Giving them feedback, having them run it again.
Right,
Do they
exactly.
implement your coaching? It's
Mhm.
just a great way to figure out, are they coachable? Are they hungry? Are they positive? Or are they going to quit knowing that they got to do outbound calling, emailing, prospecting, you name it? Does that answer your question for you, sir?
That's perfect. No, that's really, really insightful. I'll be taking them on. I think we've shortlisted one person. They are entry level, so this will be exciting for me to add in.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Sounds
Good
great.
luck.
Well, good. Yeah, good luck. And then we've got one last question. Jacob, if you're there, I still see your hand. We'll let you come to the stage. What's going on? How can we help you today?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Mhm.
Yes.
Hi, perfect, thank you. No, really enjoying the seminar at the moment. I feel like I've learned a lot. But my,
Awesome.
my question is, in my region, so I'm British, if you can tell, but I live here in Mexico. Now
Okay.
we
Very
we
cool.
struggle here with a really high percentage of cancellations from any meeting that's been booked cold. Actually, it's kind of above 60% of meetings. It's going to be a combination of the culture, but also my ability and my sales team's ability as well. My cancellation rate sits at about 50%. So if I have a really good conversation with someone and they can tell me, yeah, I want to have a meeting, you're going to solve my problems, this still has like a 50-50 chance of being seen. And then a lot of the time that kind of turns into a ghost as well. I was kind of
Mhm.
curious if you guys had any tips in regards to training software, the overall booking process that might help reduce that.
Yeah, great question. I mean, Jacob, give us an idea of what you sell real quick and who do you sell it to?
So I'm a financial advisor, so it's mostly B2C, relatively high ticket
Okay,
to
got it.
individuals.
And when you get them booked, are you getting their email and are you sending them a calendar invite?
Yep, absolutely. So email, cell phone, we're making sure we've got a lot of touch points between when the meeting's booked and when the meeting is. Like we know that within a week it is kind of the best opportunity. If you book more than a week ahead, it's shoots up to like 90% cancellation. So we're always making sure we're booking within that sort of 5 working day window. They're getting emails with
Nice.
more information. We're calling them the day before to confirm as well. But it's
Yeah,
still,
and
yeah,
I think like looking at that. So our best practices that we recommend to our customers is like try to be at an 80% or higher booked to show rate, right? 4 out of 5,
Mhm.
you want to show. There's got to be something in the messaging that's off. Like, what's the offer for them to show up? And I think if you could work on your offer, because like my
Okay.
wife and I, we have a financial wealth manager, and like if you cold called me out of the blue, okay, what do I care about? I care about making more from my investments. I don't really give a
Mhm.
shit who does it. Like it could be any
Mhm.
financial advisor, as long as they've got the proof to make me more money. Um,
Well, for
I mean,
sure.
I
I hope your
honestly, if
financial
they're
advisor's not here right now.
well, ideally they're also like, I do care. They got to be proven. They got to have social proof. So like, I would think about your offer and your social proof, and then your drip
Fair.
campaign from booked to live. Like, when I've got someone hooked, I'd be like, hey, Sarah, super excited that you're interested in learning more. These are the 3 major things I'm going to do for you on the call. And I'm going to do a lot of this work before the call. I'm going to give you one strategy to reduce your taxes that 90% of people I talk to aren't using. I'm going to give you right now, the S&P is performing and the NASDAQ is performing at 6%. My team and I have gotten our clients to 12%. There's 2 tactics that a lot of financial advisors don't tell people that we can use to help you get there. And then number 3, there's new benefits that the government has rolled out that will help reduce X expenses by Z timeline. So I'm going to give you those 3 things, and like that type of offer, give them an irresistible offer to make it to that meeting. Like, what are the benefits? Why should I show up? Why should I give a damn? And then remarketing those benefits from the book to held, I think is big. And I don't know, the more touch points I've seen from book to held, it does sometimes reduce the show rate. So like I would hit
Okay.
them the day of, And then I'd probably hit them maybe either like the day you book it, and then maybe the day of the meeting. And then, the email and the text the day they book would be reiterating the 1 to 3 things in value that you're going to bring that they can't get from any other financial advisor in the world. Like, why you over them? What's the one thing that you're going to change the world for them on? I would do that. And then don't hit them every day. Like if it's 4 days out, I would not hit them day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, because they'll be like, this guy's just annoying, I'm out. And I think with your offer, that will really help. And then work on tweaking that drip from book to held, the messaging. You should be good on my end. Those would be the things that I think of.
Yeah, no, I think that's perfect actually.
Yeah. And
like really reinforce the value.
Yeah,
right. And there's other things you could do too, even like technical side is like that you can, if you send the invite on the call, you can ask like, oh, go ahead and accept that meeting like on your calendar, like even like little things like that, just to like really try to increase that probability they're going to show up too. But definitely to what Brandon's talking about, like, yeah, the expressing that value and really hitting hard, that like that gives them that reason to show up, right? Why would they show up to someone else's when they could show up to yours?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, and I don't. How many times are you hitting them now? It sounded like, hey, if they're booked out a week, they won't stay on, they won't book, they won't hold. Like, what are you doing now? Like, why should I meet with you now? Like, what's your pitch now?
Is that a question for me?
Yeah, Jacob. Like, I'm just curious. Like, do you use an offer now, or is it just like, hey, I'm a financial advisor, I can help you, let's meet?
Yeah, absolutely. So on the cold call itself, we're always trying to understand what it is exactly that the prospect would want to get out of the meeting. So whether that's help with their future financial planning, their current financial planning, if it's for, as you said, just trying to get the best return on their investments possible. Now, a lot of what we do, and especially in the region that we're in, the access that you can get here is really quite limited. So there's a lot of the education side as well. It's like, you can do this, this, and this, and this is how I can help you do that. And that's just on the cold call itself. Excuse me. So
yeah, that's strong.
Does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah. No, I think like, when I think about what are all the problems that the majority of your customers are dealing with, laying those out, like pain points, problems, challenges, then you could take those and turn them into like offers for showing up to the meeting. And that would be like how I would start. Like if I don't know anything about marketing or making offers, just what are the problems? And then what are assets or strategies that you can give away in the meeting that fix those problems? And then when you've got them on the phone, ask if they have any of those problems. Cool. On our call, I've got the solutions. We'll go over these 2 things plus a portfolio review. And, you could even add, like, if you want to get real crazy with it, the best way to get people to show up is if you incorporate, Jacob, a guarantee. Like if you could guarantee a 2% lift, 1% lift, 5% lift in their investment returns, it would just get people to show up. Like if I don't give you strategies, and let's just say you can't guarantee investment returns, because like that's really hard to do. And I don't even know like with the SEC if you're allowed to do that. But if you're like,
in the US, probably not.
Yeah, if you're like, I'm going to guarantee that if I don't give you 2 to 3 strategies that help you increase your wealth, by the end of the meeting, I'll pay you $100. So if you meet with me and I help you do this, this, and this, and you're like, it wasn't worth it, I will pay you for your time. And your show rate and your booking rate would probably skyrocket. If you could incorporate these things to like add scarcity, urgency, guaranteed show rates to the offer, those things, those little tactics should help you get that 50 to 80 to 90% show rate. So try those out. I know we give you a lot, but hopefully taking notes, and then we'll shoot out for everyone tuning in. This is recorded. We'll shoot out everything to the recording. We got a lot of additional questions. Obviously, we went over 30 minutes. We'll make sure these webinars are 90 minutes moving forward, but hopefully you found this of value. I'd like to thank Senraj and Wright. Thank you guys so much for coming on board. It was awesome to have you. Really appreciate your time today. And Everyone tuning in, thank you so much for your time. We look forward to making this next year your biggest and best yet. If you haven't, go check out Koncert. They're the dialing gurus and experts with some of the top technology. And then obviously, if you need help with leads and list building, get on Seamless.AI, which I assume a lot of you are already using. So if you want the best leads, get on Seamless. If you want to call them, get on Koncert. And cheers. Let's finish out the year and make it your biggest and best yet. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.